Hello and welcome to the Cleft Mama podcast. This is a supportive space for families navigating life with a baby diagnosed with a cleft lip and/or palate. Here we share real experiences, practical guidance, and conversations with parents and professionals to help you feel informed, supported, and less alone. I'm your host, Anja Paune, and I'm excited to get started. Hello everyone. Today I have another guest on my show and I'm really looking forward to talking to her because we as parents are often thinking about how a cleft lip and/or palate might affect our children, but especially for young children, we can only really guess how they're feeling. So today I'm joined by Tiffany Pritchard, who can spread some light into living with a cleft. Welcome, Tiffany.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. It's great to have you here. If we were starting right at the beginning, what is the earliest memory you have of your cleft journey?
I think for me, it was the surgery. I remember the bone graft and I remember the aftercare of the bone graft. I would say that was probably my earliest memory. I didn't really notice it a lot, to be honest, when I was at school, in primary school. I was really lucky that I had a great group of friends and everybody just sort of accepted me. I was aware that I looked a bit different. I think as a child, you will see somebody and think, oh, hang on a minute, they do look a bit different. So I was aware that I was a little bit different from my friends, but I was very lucky that I had such a great supportive network around me at the time that I wasn't ever made to feel different in primary school. But so yeah, for me it was the surgeries, obviously because I knew that wasn't the quote unquote the norm because none of my friends were going through surgeries. So that was my earliest sort of memory of, oh, hang on a minute, okay, I'm living a little bit differently to my friends here because they weren't having to sort of leave school and go for surgeries. And yeah, it was a bit of a turning point for me where I thought, oh, hang on a minute, okay, this is something that I've got to deal with probably for the foreseeable. Yeah, I'd say that was the sort of the pinnacle moment where I really recognised that I had the corrective palate. And yeah, that was probably the first earliest memory that I can kind of look back now and think, yeah, I remember that.
And what do you remember of the surgery? Do you remember the surgery itself or afterwards? Was it really painful? Could you not do certain things that you did do before? Or also, was there anything that made it kind of more bearable?
You know what? I remember surprisingly the gas and air. I remember that because it obviously made me feel very woozy. And I remember I can still picture the nurse there now. It was just the most bizarre feeling because I just obviously was very disorientated. I wouldn't say I was frightened, but it was uncomfortable because obviously as a child, I was a bit like, oh my goodness, what is this? And I don't think anybody can really prepare you for that. I suppose I will have had conversations with parents and they would have said to me, oh, you need to go for an operation. And they would have explained it to me. But it's difficult to prepare you for that weird sensation, especially as a child. So I do remember that. The aftermath, to be honest, I don't remember it being overly painful. I do remember obviously having difficulty sort of for a while eating. So I had to have quite soft food. But I don't remember it being overly traumatizing as such. It was just, I think, a little bit sore, a little bit numb. And obviously I had to eat very, very soft food for a while. But I don't have any real negative feelings about it. I think for me, it just became the norm. Obviously, it just became something that I just obviously got used to having had 4 operations and obviously extensive dental work and stuff. So it did just become my normal, I think.
Yeah. So you said then you had 4 surgeries in total, but the others were before that. So the earliest you can remember is the bone graft.
Yeah, I don't have any recollection really of the previous one. To be honest, the bone graft for me was the one that I remember. Yeah, that was my earliest memory of my cleft, yeah.
Yeah. So as a parent, I hope that feels a bit reassuring that our babies don't remember any of the earlier surgeries.
No.
But then obviously the bone graft is, as you would expect, when the kids are
Yeah.
older. So
I was
they
8
can
when I had that, so yeah, I was at the age where you start remembering things then, don't you? Whereas I think the earlier ones, I would be very surprised if a lot of children remember those, to be honest.
And what followed on from that? Or did you also have a lot of speech therapy, and then you mentioned dental work as well?
Yeah, so I had quite a lot of speech therapy, obviously speech and language when I was a child. I then had a lot of dental work. So I didn't finish my dental work, I don't think, till I was like my early 20s. And I did start quite late the dental work, to be honest. But I didn't actually get discharged really until my early 20s from like the Cleft clinic. Since then, I've not had any appointments. But yeah, I didn't actually start my dental work till I was, I think, in college. So yeah, I was quite late to that.
And did you need any hearing aids at any point?
No, thankfully, I never needed anything like that. Luckily, my hearing was always really good. It was just the speech and language, and then obviously the dental work and obviously the surgeries that I had.
Yeah. Yeah. And then as you got older, you also went to performing arts, is that right?
I did, yeah, which I think anybody that knew me as a child will have been very, very shocked that that was the route that I went down, because I was so quiet, so shy, so timid. I wouldn't have even gone to the toilet on my own in a restaurant. I would always have to have my mum with me. But yeah, as a child, I just was so insular. I was so withdrawn, and which I think a lot of it was confidence. I think as I've grown up and obviously doing the performing arts, it forced me. I had no choice but to be a bit more out there. You know, I couldn't unfortunately just sit there and not speak to anybody, because I had to get up and sing and dance and act. And it was probably the best thing that I could have done, to be honest, for me, because it made me come completely out of my comfort zone. And moving on from that, I was able to feel a lot more confident moving forward. And I'll never forget the first day of performing arts. We literally got there and they were like, right, we want you to all sing a solo. And I wasn't under any illusion that that's what I would have to do. But on the first day, you think, oh, you're going to be doing some like really cute little get to know me activities, which we did do. But then being told, oh no, you've actually got to sing a complete, not a complete solo, it was like a 20-second clip, but it was like, oh my goodness, what have I signed up for? But honestly, best thing that I could have done. And I cannot recommend it to anybody, not just, you know, people that have got a cleft, but anybody that's lacking confidence. It did me the world of good, because I was then able to go into the world as a new confident person that it really, really did change my life and help me so much.
That sounds great. I don't think I would have been able to do that.
Honestly, I don't know how I did it,
Um,
honestly, looking back, but
no, well done. And clearly it, yeah, has worked for you. Since then, you've also been working on television and on radio. So tell us a
yeah.
bit about that.
So I've taken part in a MTV reality TV show, which is called Catfish UK. I was on season 3, episode 6. And what that show is about, meeting people that you speak to online. So you've never met face to face. You speak to them online, and then the show brings you together in person. Now, when I was at school, I was so obviously withdrawn. I lacked confidence. I just had no self esteem. I didn't like myself very much at all. And I hid behind this account, which obviously had a picture that wasn't my own, because I just thought I want to be a help to people, but I wasn't confident enough to do it as me. I think at the time I thought, if I present myself online, no one's going to listen, no one's going to want to hear what I've got to say. So I hid behind this account and was able to do everything I wanted to do, but just with a different mask. And the account blew off. It went viral. I still look back now and think, how on earth did that happen? But it was a really big account. And actually, it did so much good. The amount of people that would say, you've helped me so much. And actually, it became not about the look of the account. In the end, there was never oh yeah, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty. It was, you are an amazing person that has helped so many people. And for me, it gave me that validation of, okay, you don't need this mask anymore. You've helped so many people. So the show for me was about stepping away from that mask and coming out as me, and being able to go on obviously national television and say, this is me, this is what I've done, and actually be proud of being myself and be proud of my craft as well. It was about that as well for me, was being able to be a representation for people on TV and the amount of people that I had reached out that had clefts or parents, and it did a lot of good, and I'm so grateful that it did the good that it did. So yeah.
Yeah. And can we find that show?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a Catfish UK season 3, episode 6. If anybody wants to watch it, it's on MTV, but the full episode is on YouTube, and there are lots of clips, like viral clips on TikTok, which you can look for. But yeah, the main episode is on YouTube, and if anybody's got MTV, they should be able to find that quite easily.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll put the link in the show notes as well. Thank you. Account that you created, is that still going under your real face now?
Yeah, so the account itself was completely closed down, which was a shame in the sense of I'd got quite a big following on the account. But it was a decision that I made when the show aired. I just thought I want to completely close that account down and just obviously use my own. So now I have my own accounts now, and I also have my own podcast. I have my own Tiffany Talks, giving a voice to the voiceless Facebook page, which is basically where I do everything that I was doing on the account, but just as me now. So yeah, I'm able to continue that work, but do it as me and be proud of, as doing it as my own identity, which is nice. So I'm still continuing to help people.
Yeah, that's amazing that you became that person that you created and actually
Yes.
now
Yeah.
live the real you. That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Thank
I'm
you.
just thinking back as you grew up and got to learn about cleft and potential differences. Do you feel it's helpful having pictures looking back before your first surgeries? Because that's just one thing as parents. We always wonder about, will our children actually want to know what they looked like beforehand? Or is it just because they don't remember it anyway, that they rather just know the present? So what's your feeling about that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got a picture of myself in our dressing room at home, and it's before I'd had any surgeries. And I often look at that. I see it every day when I go in. And I think I look at that now as almost like a battle wound, as like a warrior scar. Not that it's a scar because I've not had the surgery yet, but I see that as a really positive thing to see how I've changed. I don't look at myself now and think, oh gosh, I used to look like that. I actually see it in quite a nice way, because it helps me know that that's what I've been through, and that's obviously what I used to look like as a child, and seeing the difference now and seeing how amazing the surgery was, I personally find that really reassuring. And I can't imagine people that grow up with clefts, I can't imagine them not finding that reassuring. I think it is helpful, because it's helpful to know how we've changed and what we've had done, and be able to see that difference. So yeah, I think so.
Good, good. Now I hope that my son will think that one day. We have the pictures. So talk to us about the work on the radio. That's also mental health related.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I've done a radio interview quite a few months ago now, but it was all about mental health. I wanted to talk about the importance, obviously, of talking and having that support. We talked obviously briefly about obviously my cleft. I talked briefly about men's mental health, because I unfortunately lost my dad a few years ago. Well, coming up to 4 years actually next month, and it was to do with mental health, and so I like to be able to talk about especially men's mental health, because obviously I think that's quite a taboo topic still. But yeah, it was really, really positive. I got really, really good feedback. And I think it just helps sometimes to listen to somebody talk about topics that maybe they don't often talk about in the home. And I just hope that it opened that conversation, to be honest. That was my aim with doing the radio, was opening that conversation. And it, like I said, got really good feedback. And I think it was really good.
And is that also available now somewhere for people to listen?
Yeah, so I've got the full radio interview actually uploaded on my Tiffany Talks, giving a voice to the voiceless Facebook page, so people can go and find that and listen to the full 45-minute interview. But yeah, that is available to listen to. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll definitely link that as well then. Again, thinking about when you were a child, was there anyone around you with a cleft? Or did you meet anyone who was going through the same as you were?
At school, there wasn't, I don't remember there being anybody. I have a feeling as I was getting into the later years, there may have been somebody a few years below. but there certainly wasn't a lot of people. But what I found really helpful as a child was we had cleft lip and palate groups. So I was part of the Clapper Association, and we used to meet up and we'd go for regular like duck races, and just we'd meet up near Christmas. And that for me was a real saving grace, because to be able to go and meet obviously all these other children that had got cleft, and be able to look at somebody else and go, oh, look, they look like me, and not feel so alone. And I think for parents, those groups are an absolute lifesaver as well, because you can relate to them and you can talk to them. Parents can speak to teachers or friends or other people, but to talk to another parent that's actually going through it, and they understand the surgery, they understand the speech and language, they get a dental work, they understand the process, I think is really helpful. Like, so not only for me and for children with cleft, but I think it's really helpful for the parents as well.
Yeah, and I can only echo that. So I'm really glad that Clapper is organizing these groups as well.
Yeah.
But for us, it was actually the Cleft nurse who had another family in the same area or quite close to us. So she asked both of us if we are okay to share our contacts. And they actually have a boy who's just 6 months older than our boy. So I
Oh,
could talk to her, and she
yeah.
went exactly in the same hospital, to the same surgery, exactly the same cleft type as well.
Mm.
So we're hoping that we can keep up the contact, so the boys actually also grow up together and at least have each
Oh,
other to
yeah.
kind of share their
Oh,
experiences. As they get older, hopefully they feel like they're not the only ones and they have others as well. So yeah, it's good that you have that. It sounds like a
yeah,
positive experience.
absolutely. Yeah, really helped me. And I think I can't see it as anything other than really positive. So I think those groups are an absolute vital part of growing up, and knowing that you've got that place to go to where you can feel as part of something and that you're not alone. And yeah, I think they're really, really important.
Yeah. And we live so remotely, so it was very surprising that there would be someone
Oh,
here.
so I'm so glad that you've got that there. That's really, really good. I'm really happy that that's there for you.
Yeah. What advice would you give, let's say, a teenager or a young adult who is feeling uncertain about their looks, be it a cleft or be it otherwise?
I think what I'd say is our appearance is obviously a tiny part of us. And I think when you're a child and you're going through having a cleft, it can be really difficult, because obviously you do feel different. You do obviously feel completely out of place. And somebody saying to you as a child, oh, you're beautiful, and, one day this isn't going to matter. And it can sort of feel a bit wishy-washy, because I know how I felt as a child, and anybody could have said anything to me and it wouldn't have changed my opinion, because I just was very self-conscious. But I think as I've grown up, and especially going through teenage years, I just think you start realizing that actually your looks are the tiniest part of you. And actually, I think when your mindset changes, which I think most people, as they get to sort of teenage years, they start wanting to build a career. They start thinking about what they want to do when they leave school. And actually, the mindset shifts. And I think your looks are only the tiniest part of you. It is so much more important to be kind, to be seen as somebody that is a nice person, someone that works hard, the way that you make people feel. I can absolutely guarantee people will not remember you for that person's got a cleft. They will remember the way that you made them feel. And I think that's really important to remember that. And I know, because I've been there, and I know if someone had said that to me when I was a teenager, I may have been like, oh no, because it felt really big to me in the moment, but it won't always. That my advice would be, it won't always. And it's so much more important to be a good person and to care about others and be seen as that, rather than people won't remember the way you look. They really won't.
Yes, thank you. That's great advice. And I want to share also your Instagram and your TikTok account. And I really want to share that account specifically because I just look like through the photos and so on. And it looks full of positivity. Like, this is really what strikes me just looking at the reels or posts. It's all very positive, and you're also not hiding away. So what I've noticed is particularly the red lipstick, for example. You're really not shying away from anything. You're really celebrating
No.
who you are. So I really want to share that account with the listeners as well. So how can they find you on Instagram?
So my Instagram account is Miss Tiffany Louise. My TikTok is Tiffany Pritchard. And then I'm also on Facebook on Tiffany Talks, giving a voice to the voiceless. So any of those platforms, people can come over and join the journey.
Perfect. No, thank you very much. I think, I really recommend people to check you out and look at that and see
Thank you.
what the future holds for their children if they're the parents as well.
Oh yeah, hopefully very, very positive. I like to be optimistic and think of it with a positive mindset. So, I know obviously we're faced with a lot of challenges, aren't we, in the cleft world? But I do like to think that, it's hopefully going to end positively. I like to think like that. So,
Thank you very much. This was a great interview. I'm so glad that I got to talk to you and that we can shed some light into the life of an adult with a cleft. So thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope it does some good. I really do.
Thank you for listening to the Cleft Mama podcast. I hope you get a ton of value out of our time together. You're not alone in this journey. And remember, you're doing an amazing job. If this episode helped you, please follow and share it with another parent who might benefit from it. See you next time.